So, I'm back in Oslo for the second time in less than 2 years. It'll be 2 years come the 30th of January. So I'm here to see Dream Theatre in Trondheim. But today, the cemeteries are closed. So I think my vlog will focus a lot on the black metal sites of Oslo. I'm at Oslo S Station, or Oslo Central Station. Just got myself a ticket to Ski. It's spelled S-K-I, like ski, but you say it's Ski. Now, in Ski, this is where Euronymous is buried, in a church, and also it's not far from the location where Dad blew his brains out in that big hut. So I'm going to find both things today. Now I'm closing in on Langhus Station, and at this location, Necrobutcher and Euronymous took an iconic photograph of them lying down on a station bench. We're going to get past it shortly, and we may stop off at it on the way back to Oslo, ticket permitting, because we've got to get off, take a few photographs and get back on the train, but tickets are valid for 90 minutes, so why not? I'll get here. There it is, Langhus. That's the actual bench Euronymous and Necrobutcher sat on. Check it out. Just heading on into Ski. So it should be maybe a short bus ride to Euronymous' grave, which I've already been to 2 years ago, but a bit of a walk to the hut where Dad died. Now what I've read before is that Mayhem was actually formed in Oslo, but then they actually relocated to Ski, towards the late 80s, early 90s. So it was in 1991 when Dad blew his brains out in a hut in Ski, and then Euronymous took the photographs and stuff, and then 2 years later Euronymous is killed by Varg Vikernes. And the funny thing, what Necrobutcher once said in an interview, he said that he was on his way to kill Euronymous because he had taken all his photographs and not get rid of them. And so when he read the papers, oh, Euronymous has died and stuff, he's thinking, Necrobutcher's thinking, shit, the cops might be after me because I think I'm a suspect. But the funny thing was, they'd actually tapped Varg Vikernes' phones because they thought, okay, we're gonna nail this guy for church burning and arson, let's nail him for murder. So I'm pretty sure Varg Vikernes would be on the phone, flagging him, saying, oh, I'm gonna kill Euronymous and all that, and stuff. But in my opinion, Euronymous was a great person because he was a communist, and he brought his band Mayhem to Turkey, and even wanted to take Mayhem to Syria, and even to countries where religion represses music. It would be nice if Mayhem could play a gig in Damascus. It'd still be cool if they could do it right now as part of the war. But back then it was just really complicated. I remember reading in the Life in the Peas album book that they played a gig in Turkey and it got shut down and all. It was quite remarkable bit of history of Mayhem. I met Necrobutcher in October 2018. He was in London signing copies of the Mayhem archives from 1984 to 1994, I guess, 1993 era, yeah. And so I bought my copy of Life in the Peas and he signed it. And I said to him, oh, Necrobutcher, I went out to visit Euronymous' grave in Ski, and I've been to Dad's grave in south of Stockholm, and how one day I want to move to Scandinavia, as I'm originally from Australia. And so he was very impressed that I'd been out there to visit his bandmates' graves and stuff. And he says he might be in Australia by the time I immigrate to Norway and stuff. But he's a great guy. He's done some silly things in the past, like get drunk in front of Sam Dunn. But I find it awesome that he cussed out that Bob Larson when he went to America. He met Bob Larson. He had some of this spirits driven out of him and stuff, and I felt like he would say to Bob Larson, who are they? Which religion? Who the fuck are you talking to? Fuck them, fuck that. Yeah, I got a comment. Fuck you, you get what I mean? Yeah. So, it's been many years since I saw Mayhem, like I saw them at Hellfest 2011, 2013. So I look forward to seeing them again soon and meeting up with Necrobutcher again. This road is very familiar because that bus stop is where I got a free ride back to Langhus Station. And here's the church right ahead there where Euronymous is buried. I'm kind of hoping it's not closed today because the other cemeteries in Oslo City are closed on Saturdays and Sundays. That's why I can't visit Leonard Cohen's girlfriend Marianne's grave in the city centre. So I'll have to go back to Norway on a weekday. So I'm in walking distance of where Euronymous is buried. So to get here quickly, come out through here, past these two bins, this big tree, and down this pathway. And here where he is, Øystein Alfseth, born 22nd March 1968, murdered in Oslo by Varg Vikernes, 10th of August 1993. Rest in peace, buddy. Hail Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan. Gotta find it a bit odd that because Euronymous was a communist, I don't know why he's buried in a cemetery or the church over there. I mean, it's the same thing with Dead. I mean, he's buried in a cemetery, but not near a church on site. So I was thinking of going to near the house where Dead committed suicide, but I thought to myself, okay, look, I've already done a huge vlog on where Dead is buried, and basically the hut, it's more than a really long walk from here, and because the internet in this country is really giving me the shits and not working, especially when I'm at a Wi-Fi spot, should tell me how to get to a certain location, I'm just not going to bother doing it. I mean, I may move to Norway in the future. So what I do, I will go out of my way and go visit this hut in Ski where Dead blew his brains out. It may not be this year, it might be next year, it could be 2022, it just depends on what I do in my life. So, the next best thing we're going to do is we're going to revisit that bench on the train station, which is part of Mayhem history. Here we are, Langhus Station. This is a very scenic place for anyone who's a fan of Mayhem. It was at that stop over there in the 1980s. Necrobutcher and Euronymous lied down for a photo shoot. They were in a bit of like makeup and stuff, that long hair and all. And it was around the time that Death Crush had came out. And I think it was Maniac was in the band, I think it was before Dead came in. But this is history right there. And this is where it is. Langhus. See, back in the 80s, the words Mayhem was spray painted all over here and stuff. Fortunately, many coats of paint have gotten rid of the Mayhem, but fans all around the world are still coming here to get their photo taken lying down, just like Euronymous and Necrobutcher were back in the 80s. I've just made it back to Oslo Central now after my trip to Ski. Now I'm on my way to find where Euronymous lived and died. This one apartment block, it should be a short walk from Central Station, because as a matter of fact the shop he had called Helvet, it's like just not far from here, just over that way. It's like east of Oslo Central, yes. So this thing I got here, it's not a Kit Kat. You may think it is a Kit Kat or kind of a Kit Kat, but it's not. The Norwegians call it quick lunch. And like when you hike in the mountains, you break off one of these. and it makes you feel Norwegian. But you've got pictures of storks. You can see it clearly. Here, look, it's a stork. So this is the front gate to where Euronymous lived and died. The reports that his apartment was on the very top, like floor, like just right up there. So one of those was like Euronymous. It's kind of like shocking to stand here and that 27 years ago, one of the best musicians in black metal was murdered by another musician who had a lot of talents, like Varg Vikernes. But then, you know, Varg Viking went to jail for so many years and he recorded so many Burzum albums while in jail and stuff. The sad thing about Euronymous was he was a communist. I mean, like, well, not sad about that, but you know, he went to Turkey to play gigs for people who have been repressed, and then he really wanted to go to Syria to play a couple of shows, but that didn't happen. So yeah, so history in those buildings, murder. One of the greatest black metal musicians dead, quite young, in 1993. I just realised that there's a big church that was set on fire in the 90s by Varg Vikernes and Bård Faust. So it's located up at Holmenkollen, so you just have to get the number 1 out there from the city centre, from like Greenland. Like, Greenland's a walking distance from Oslo S and stuff. So this day ain't over yet, even though darkness is coming around. It's close to 5 o'clock in the evening. It's all gone dark as it's winter time. And I'm in the happy town of Holmenkollen in the northern part of Oslo. Just walking up here to get to the famous Holmenkollen Chapel that was built in like the early 20th century, and then Varg Vikernes and Bård Faust burned it down in the 90s. There should be a short walk from here, but it's like really like uphill, you know. This is what most parts of Oslo is like, but not too steep, unlike in bloody Edinburgh, where I wanted to live a while ago, but I wasn't fit for that. Now, the cathedral that Varg's, Euronymous and Bård Faust burnt is all the way up there, but on the right side there's a ski jumping track right there. You know, do a bit of ski jumping, but unfortunately there's not much snow happening right now in Norway. I'm right next to the church that Varg's, Euronymous and Bård burnt down. There's a skiing facility. Even with the lack of snow, you can still go skiing here. Not like all year round, but in winter. And here we have it. One Norwegian church that was built at the turn of the 20th century and was burnt down in the 90s, but then magically rebuilt within 1996. So I'm walking the path that Varg's, Euronymous and Bård Faust were walking back in the early 90s when they went to set this church on fire. You know, they set so many churches all over Norway and Bergen, and I think maybe even Trondheim. Not too sure if it's open tonight. I think that's so nice, but nope, it's not open. But it's pretty impressive for a metalhead who doesn't really like Christianity to stand at the exact location this church was on fire in the 90s. Now for anybody who's never been to Oslo, this is what they call the sorting. This is the Parliament of Norway. When I first came here in January 2018, I was lucky enough to go inside and watch a debate. The security said, we don't have any tours for today, but come inside and you can watch the debate. I thought, yeah, okay, I'll do it. That's what I did. So anyway, for the cost of a $5, you can get a bork, either chicken, spinach, meat, a can of Coca-Cola, plus the extra pint and tenants fees, and 2 of these kick licorices. Sea salt, some of my favorite licorices all the time. Just been hanging out at Oslo S since 7 PM tonight, and now I know what track to get my train to Trondheim. So I'll be leaving at 11:06. Now I need to get my way down there soon. So I don't want to miss this train. 250 kroner are waiting on it. Well, all aboard the evening train to Trondheim. Yep, it's the... I hate having to run for these trains, but I'm early. So, plonk yourself down, find out where you are. So, now just left Norway, right behind me. It's going to take 7 hours to get to Trondheim. So, we'll get settled in for the evening. Good night.